They said Gray paved the way, changed the rain, released the pain, least you sane, getting paid, trend setting, brighter days, doper rap, tight as set, high and deadly, I'm a fighter jet, journey.
What's good, everyone? Major League Pod. We are back after 2 weeks because, MLW doesn't want to work weekly anymore, so why should we? I'm Rob Kammer, host of the MLW Confusion podcast, and with me, as always, ever present, the Megatron of wrestling news, Muffins Martinez. Muffins, how are you doing this afternoon?
Man, the Megatron, now I'm a Decepticon now, good God. I was wondering if we could skip the whole thing and just go right to the main event, because I have a lot to say about this.
It's weird, comparatively speaking, there was so much news coming that came out of the show, it totally overshadowed the match listing.
Yes.
So yeah, let's just jump right into things. I got my props ready, so main event.
Yeah, I wish, man. Now let's do it right. Let's do it the right way, man. Because a lot of the stuff was good, especially that first match, Ichiban and Asuka Rocky Romero. The show started good, man. Show started good.
Well, and I will argue there was nothing inherently wrong with this show by itself. Without every match, almost every match had some return or some giant news piece to come out of it. The only one that really didn't, the first two matches didn't have anything big come out of it. The 2 out of 3 falls, and then the Haas fight, second gear crew managers versus.
Well, I was very surprised that Ichiban didn't win. To be honest with you, I thought that he would have won the belt.
I thought that made more narrative sense. The whole point of the story was Ichiban had been fighting the numbers game, and now we have a match that is literally a numbers game in 2 out of 3 falls, and Rocky beat him clean. Outside of a two spots of some chicanery, but overall, he pinned him pretty darn clean. So unless this feud is not over yet, which thanks to the again, I'm going to rag on this until they fix it. Thanks to the new taping schedule, we won't find out whether this is the end or not for at least 2 weeks, unless they pop something up on YouTube.
Well, let me ask you a question. Does this hurt Ichiban going forward? I mean, since he lost clearly in the last set or the last pinfall there, I mean, can he come back from that?
I mean, he can. He's not damaged goods, I don't think. But any feud and any loss, I don't think one loss will hurt any individual. It's the follow-up to that loss, especially in these big situations. So, Ichiban. So as long as Ichiban basically comes right back and immediately establishes himself, basically, we'll say just ignores that the loss ever happened. He comes in and he's still a ball of fire because he's got himself over. The crowd is thoroughly behind him.
Yes.
So the only way he's going to be damaged is basically if there's no follow-up to this whatsoever. I'll compare it to Kofi Kingston losing the World Heavyweight Championship. There is no shame being squashed by Brock Lesnar, especially with that size differential. What hurt Kofi is that as soon as he lost, basically he's like, "Hey, former WWE heavyweight champion, I'm happy to be here. Have a pancake." He didn't keep any of that fire he had throughout the championship. He just ignored anything. He didn't want revenge. He didn't want a title back. He just went back to playing with the New Day. And so if as long as Ichiban acknowledges and shows the fire and keeps the ball rolling and saying we're not done yet, or yes, you got me this time, but I will be back stronger. He will be fine, because obviously he'll get the crowd behind him no matter what he does.
And then, you mentioned, the big house fight there, which was a big, humongous house fight.
Yeah.
That was I'll be honest, that was a really, really, really good match. I'm happy that Davey Boy Smith is back, 100%. I had a conversation with what's his name? The one who lost to Davey Boy Smith?
Manders?
Yeah. So no, yeah, yes, yes. Like how he got beat and he got the destroy or whatever, and then he tweeted back saying, well, I still got up,
Yeah.
They got up and I'll get up next time. I was saying, I don't know about that, but
well, and I think that was really the story of the match because he did get dominated.
Yeah. Oh,
big
yes.
part of the match, but to his credit, and this didn't come from me. To his credit, he didn't like stay down. He got up until he passed out, and even passing out, he let the ref know what he thought about it.
Yeah.
And before he went out, and then even then, as soon as the match is over, he was starting to get up before he got blindsided too. So
and I thought you would have been happy with him losing, so get some measure of revenge.
Yeah. So it told the story. Again, if we're looking at this as a story based narrative, it told a good story. And again, we'll see what comes after it. MSL did reference going after the tag titles. Well,
yes.
Again,
Yep.
But
so that should be interesting. And one thing we forgot to mention is how the show started, and Matt Striker is no longer.
Yeah, we jumped that. I did have that first in my notes, and then we just kind of got salty about things.
And I was surprised and happy at the same time because they never referenced it during the issues on the internet or anything like that on Twitter. But at least they did good on it. They replaced him. We don't know what happened, but I'm pretty sure they said, okay, we gotta move gears here. And they brought the guy, which I remember him from when they did the lucha stuff down in Mexico, and he was doing there with Dombrowski. So I'm thinking, okay, good. I like this guy.
Yeah, no, it was a welcome change. And I for one, a lot of the internet wrestling community, for better or for worse, they are awfully hard on Matt Striker. And I've always thought he was decent at times. I don't think he deserved a lot of the hate that he will say usually got. But I definitely, we've heard on this very podcast and then on Confusion my thoughts of what he said on Kings of Coliseum, and we definitely needed a response, and we at a certain level never really got that response. And actually, officially speaking, we don't even know if this was a response. I mean, let's face it, nobody said anything. It's just like, hey, here's Christian Cole. But the timing of it is, of course, very suspect. And Mr. Striker is no longer on Twitter.
Yeah. Okay. So we could assume that he quietly and whisperly got swept away under the rug, and let's just kind of say that it never happened.
Yeah.
He was never here, kind of thing.
Yeah. Which is honestly for the best, because that was the only thing people were talking about last month.
Yes. What was the third match after that?
Third match was the dream match. Yuji Nagata versus Jacob Fatu.
Yes. Woo!
And that was a fun match overall. I'm surprised it didn't go longer just because of just the guys involved. The only thing I'm going to complain about, and I have my old man yells at clouds moments, like pile drivers being kicked out of, and there were 3 pile drivers kicked out of. Not like I kept count or anything. Not this match, just in general. But Nagata spent all this time working the arm in the match, and then Fatu did the handspring moonsault, and that made me salty. But
stuff like
whatever,
that kind of just irks you. Like, you're doing all this to work on a body part to take a move away, but you still hit the move perfectly. So what's the point of doing all this if he's still going to be able to do a handspring elbow thing and not even show any type of wear and tear on the arm that's being worked on? Yeah. That's the things that kind of gets you upset. Like, what's the point then?
But overall, it didn't ruin the match for me. But I was kind of surprised they didn't make it seem a bit more epic, because they really kind of hyped this as a dream match, especially since Nagata is a legend. And then as we are slowly potentially finding out that this is Fatu's swan song as well. He is a free agent. He's currently a free agent. That's not precluding him necessarily from working MLW, but he's implied that he's not working MLW. Because
I think he was a free agent right on Thursday, and he put it out there, and he wrestled on Saturday, which is classy of him to do.
Yeah.
And and then we saw what happened afterwards when he grabbed the microphone to kind of give us a speech, and we saw the flag of Contra come out that got Chef back excited again and talking wrestling. And we saw like 27 different what they call the Sentai Death Squad or whatever.
Sentai Death Squad
come in. And then we saw, Max Kruger or AKA Cruel in the Indies, kind of picking up the mantle, coming in and kind of decapitating.
Yeah. Like that was a very strong visual. Like, say what I want about the the myriad of nameless schools that came out through everything. The whole faux decapitation thing really stuck with me, and it was a very effective visual.
And what I would like to happen now is that Max Kruger was burned in the last match almost 2 years ago. Blah 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 blah. Now he's being reincarnated, and now he's back as Cruel. Use that name that he's been carrying down in the Indies. And hopefully he could bring in his Contra unit that he's been using now in the Indies for the last 2 years, because he's actually been the main guy carrying the whole Contra unit thing out there away from the main shows and still keeping it alive. And if they do, he has an impressive crew out there down in Southern Heritage Wrestling, I believe. That's where a lot of the stuff happens. And he has a female manager. He has like 4 other guys with him. So hopefully, slowly they'll bring those guys in. Because I don't, now if Fatu is actually gone, that's the biggest guy that was in Contra unit gone. And then who will you bring from the past that was there before? So I guess only time we'll see. And I'm pretty sure, like you mentioned, we'll see some kind of rematch at the February 29th. Intimidation games.
Yep, they've made that official. It's
if he doesn't get signed, he doesn't get signed by somebody before then, and they say, "Now, come on, we're gonna take you now."
Yeah,
we're not even gonna work for that.
Bakle Brawl.
Yeah,
but I wasn't aware he was still carrying the flag of Contra. But I'm not familiar with his southern work. Like I see him work a bit more northeast, and the northeast he doesn't really carry the crew with him so much.
It's a southern honor wrestling. He does the whole Contra unit thing. He has Alex some AC Mac, one of the guys from the infantry, and then one other guy, and then a female who has like his manager, spokesperson, who also wrestles, and she's a beast. So, and then he's also
got a hat for you. It's like, I can't transfer the screens.
Yeah, no, right. But he's also doing championship wrestling for Memphis, where he's been there the last 2-3 episodes. He won the Royal Rumble type match, and now he's gonna go after Bret Michaels, the Gun Show, for the title. So that's the Contra unit. So he's definitely bringing the stuff out there. If myself, you keep yourself up to date on everything wrestling, you'll see him. But like you say, if you only step to one side, when you single and got a lot of body issues, YouTube becomes your best friend.
Yeah, well, and there's a handful of blind spots in my wrestling repertoire, and the Deep South is one of them. Though I'm going to humble brag on this one. I should have known something was up, because I'm being monitored online again by Contra. So that's been a handful of years since that happened. I should have known something was up.
Be careful with that, then.
No, I've said if you catch the old episodes of Confusion, I've said it various times. Like, if you hear me mouth off too much and I mysteriously disappear, there's a chance that I'm in a bunker in Siberia or in the death pits of Cambodia, or any other place that Josef Samael like to talk about in Contra promos.
That was one of the biggest surprises to me, was Cruel coming back. I was expecting it later on, not now.
Yeah, because they've only done like 2, maybe 3 like flashes of the Black Flag of Contra. I figured like we'd pull it out a little bit more, but I guess with Fatu leaving, I guess they decided either A, this is the plan all along, and Fatu obviously should be involved if Contra's coming back in some way, shape, or form. So I don't know whether they pulled the trigger early on it or if this was just the plan all along with it. But I mean, either way, but I am very curious to see where Contra goes with this, because I definitely I hope he I shouldn't say necessarily brings. He might have it. Who knows who are all under those masks? But I definitely hope he gets. I'm definitely hoping he has like named compatriots in the group. Just because,
not the same old guys, but new guys.
And I'm okay with the new, old guys too, but it definitely shouldn't be Mads Kruger and a bunch of nameless ghouls, because that'll be really lame in my humble opinion. Which Kruger, for better or worse, kind of had some problems getting at various points in MLW, getting over and staying over consistently, because his booking has been so inconsistent. And he doesn't need a bunch of nobodies taking beatings when he's 8 feet tall and can squish most of the roster under his boot heels for fun.
And that's true. Yes.
But and then the other point is we've been talking about it, and now this has popped up too. MLW is very heel stably at the moment, and heel stable. I want to take over the promotion. I mean, Salina de la Renta's promotion is kind of we'll call it distracted at the moment with our next big surprise. But like, we still have WTF, who wants to overrun MLW. Contra in the past, for a brief period of time, successfully took over MLW going into the pandemic era. And then before this coming distraction, Promotion Dorada was trying to stake a claim as like the true ruler and matchmaking power of MLW. So I'm curious to see where this goes, because we have like 3 different stables who's been bent on MLW takeovers and destruction, and
then the surprise being the 4th one coming up now.
Yep. So yeah, our next match, we skipped. We're skipping a match, but we'll go ahead and talk about it now. It's fine. Okay. We can come back to the other. But going along with the surprise, going into our lucha exhibition match, Mystico versus Averno. They didn't even wait for the end of the match for the surprise to this.
Yes.
We started the party with the return of Cesar Duran. Obviously, they've been dropping hints for months upon months, and they've just flat out announced that the May show is Azteca Underground. Yes. So, I mean, we kind of had to put 2 and 2 together on that, because he was the only one who used the Azteca lucha, branding. Everybody else, had some other form of branding to go along with it. Yes. But is official as of Saturday. Cesar Duran is back. He officially brought in Mystico. He is ready for violence.
Now, this match was everything that I've always wanted. I've seen these guys, and when you bring 2 guys from Mexico who's worked together for a while, is basically bread and butter. You let them go and they do everything they do. The thing that upsets me the most is that they had announced this for, I want to say, last month. So I'm excited. We're going to get some CMML guys, especially Mystico. And of course, Tony Khan from another company decides, I could do that too. I'm going to start bringing in earlier than you guys and have them the same week that you're having your show on Saturday. I want to have them to come in on Wednesday. Then I'm going to have them again on Friday. Then I have one of the guys wrestle on Saturday while you having your show. So that kind of got me upset, because, Mexico was in a bigger promotion, bigger channel out there. And those guys were out there burning it live. And, now you come down to MLW, a little smaller in Philly, and they still did this shit. If you love lucha wrestling, this is definitely one of the matches that you got to see. A lot of high flying, a lot of turning of moves, a lot of grappling. Everything that you wanted to see is there. I love the match. I just hated that somebody else took the thunder away from them a couple of days earlier.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, we can try to silver lining this and say, well, if you saw him on AEW, now it can bring extra eyes to MLW, because like, oh, hey, Mystico is also going to be on MLW, especially if like they went to AEW first and then popped over here. I mean, it's kind of like the Matt Cardona thing. Gets his spots in the rest of the country. And granted, he was kind of doing stuff. He does stuff like every week, so like it's kind of the same. But like, Yeah, like yeah, it did get some of the thunder stolen, I think, but like, I mean, good wrestling is good wrestling, and I think if you are going to follow your favorite wrestlers or follow a type and style of wrestling, like you're not necessarily going to miss out of it. And I know a handful of people who are really happy that lucha is coming back full form in MLW. They're just kind of sad that that it's not all on YouTube anymore, and we have it's behind a paywall, such as last night. But a lot of companies work behind that paywall now, so I think it's ultimately a net neutral. It's just whatever streaming services you are going to choose to afford at the moment.
And the thing is, now the Forbidden Door thing, that's already over with. Now there's no such thing as a Forbidden Door, because every week somebody from somewhere that you never thought was going to be there is there.
Yeah. And really, like, the Forbidden Door thing is, I mean, I think we'll call it kind of passe anyway. It's the Forbidden Door only really existed within the realms of the WWE, because they were the only company that was refusing to work with anybody else. Like New Japan worked with people all the time. Works with people all the time. Like it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, it is mildly important to see like some of the top tier guys but like on the flip side of it, some of those top tier guys already worked for New Japan anyway. So like, exactly. Is it truly a new dream match to watch Kenny Omega take on someone from New Japan, because he spent like 15 years there?
If casual fans don't watch New Japan Wrestling, they won't see it if they don't get up at 3 a.m. on a Friday night or stay up that late to watch a live.
That's fair.
What I'm saying? Because then you have no choice. Like, oh my God, what? Okada against Kenny in AEW. Oh, that's the Forbidden Door for you. I never seen that. But us, we seen it, because we stay on top of everything that happens all over wrestling. So to us, it's just a regular thing. But if somebody new was like, oh wow, that's the dream match I never wanted, that now I want. So,
yeah, I mean, I buy that, but on the flip side, given how much information and streaming media is out there nowadays, like if they really wanted to get it, a lot of stuff is on demand. I mean, yes, it's great to have it on free TV, or well, we'll call it quasi free TV, because you still got to get cable most of the time at the bare minimum. But if you really wanted it, it's out there in some way, shape, or form. And
then after this match, we found out that Mystico is going to challenge Asuka Rocky Carmelo for the MLW
middleweight championship.
Intimidation games. So that right there should be interesting to see if Mystico takes the belt and takes it back to Mexico, which has been there already with Rocky Romero. So it'd be interesting to see if they do that type of title change there. So
Oh, and on top of it, regardless, it'll be a good match, because Rocky obviously can work the style, and Mystico's big problem working in America was working against American style wrestlers. When he's put in there with other lucha guys, it's like he's the Mystico of old, just a touch slower, because that was 15 years ago. But
he's flying all over the place.
Yeah, but he's still amazing, just considering. But yeah,
he got his fame in Mexico. When he came here, he was in Cara. So the Mexico guy, he never came to the United States until now. So it's still something new to us, even though we've seen him wrestle under a different gimmick for all this time under a mask.
Well, now we're watching him wrestle well.
Yes, exactly. But not watching him wrestle as his original, persona, kind of gives us that goosebump, like, oh shit, it's Mystico, even though he's been here before, but it's really Mystico now.
Well, and he's gotten his footing back, because I know, like, after he got fired, like he still had some problems getting on his feet, and kind of like, I don't know if it's regaining his confidence or if just other people weren't working well with him, because he famously had a terrible match with Rey Mysterio, and that was before Rey Mysterio started, whatever, bathing in virgin blood or whatever he did to like totally change his body. because he was pretty run down for a time too, and then just through a couple of surgeries and lost a bunch of weight too. Like you almost can't tell like he's ever lost a step as well.
Yeah, and he's been out, but he should be coming back pretty soon, Mysterio. So whatever he got left in the tank, he's gonna give it out there, and and keep flying till the body says, "Okay, I can't anymore."
No, just like any good professional wrestler. How many of them truly retire, man?
Exactly. So which match did we skip?
We skipped the Death Machine rules match.
Oh, okay.
Which I figured that was partially a Freudian slip on your part because it's not really your style of match.
Well, this one is not, but I was intrigued because I was like Sami Callihan. I like his work. Only thing I don't like is the spitting and that kind of shit that he does. That just kind of like, dude, come on, man. Just stick to wrestling. Do your job. Get the heel pop. Play with the crowd. Get them upset. I love his work, and I love the work he did with Tessa Blanchard down in the Impact days there. So before all that shit happened, but I've always been impressed with Sami and Akira. He always, since that one match he had with Asuka, I see him in a whole different light now. I still don't like this whole hardcore, all this blood everywhere nonsense thing. But one match, a show, I'm fine with that. I just can't have it back to back or stuff like that.
Yeah, and overall, like they were pretty light on it as well. Just because Sami has kind of moved away from the pure deathmatch stuff himself, and he's done more. He does more of these hardcore-esque brawls.
Which I like that better.
Yeah, and it was like, yeah, they brought out the barbed wire, but really, like it wasn't done in a way to draw blood. And let's also face it, the Mudalock with the barbed wire was pretty gnarly. So they got innovative with the stuff. And I did like
put it on his mouth too, and he was open. I'm like, oh, dude, like, come on, man.
Yeah. I also liked using an Akira 8x10 to do the paper cut spots. I thought that was fun. And then they glossed over it and didn't focus on it. But Akira Muda misted Sami with a lemon too. This was, of course, after Sami used the lemon on him and on his paper cuts.
That's gotta hurt.
Oh yeah. As a connoisseur of deathmatch wrestling, I've known a handful of guys like would have the death matches with, and usually the lemons are involved with, like, they call it like pits of death. And so like they'll have the regular stuff, and then there'll be like lemons and hot sauce and salt, and the wrestlers will say like the thing that actually hurts the most is like the lemon juice, just because.
See, I believe the lemon juice and the salt, but why the hot sauce?
Have you ever gotten hot sauce in a place it shouldn't be?
No, because I'm not a big fan of hot sauce, but shit. Salt.
I'll put the hat on. Little story time.
Go right ahead.
I have burned my face with a Carolina Reaper.
Oh.
Straight up Reaper. I thought I was being I had gloves on, but evidently there was a micro tear in my glove, and I didn't wash my hands in between removing my glove and wiping my eye. Actually, I itched right here, and I burned my face pretty darn good. It burned enough I had to go shower. And there's quasi video of it on the internet if you go into my real YouTube channel, which is also the Nova of Cass. I have a video of me playing with the peppers, and so I'm talking about making like pepper flakes and hot sauce and whatever, but like at the very end is like an extra. Like I didn't record me wiping my face and screaming, but I showed like the aftermath, and like I had like welting. And that's just from the pepper. Like that, there was no cuts on my face. That was just skin contact and welted me up.
I'll stay away from the hot sauce then. Jesus.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, wash your hands before you touch any pepper. After you're done touching peppers.
And then we got the surprise of Raven coming out.
Yes, Raven made his return,
which I'm still trying to figure out why now.
Yeah.
And we think that he's going to side with the Calling because that's why he started, and he sides instead with Akira. So what the hell's going on there?
Yeah, that's rather interesting, and I'm hoping we will get an actual explanation as to why. So I'm hoping Raven will stick around. which he didn't really do before. But yeah, because he did like the calling like welcomed him from the stage. Like they all like taped Akira up and pointed to the stage, and then he walked out. And I'm sorry, my phone is exploding. Evidently, real life is popping up. Okay. It's ultimately fine. Non-emergency. It's just there is a family group chat going on and some traveling. So it's one of those like, hey, I'm safe. And then everyone's chiming in like, great.
Yes.
So but yeah. I thought that was interesting, Raven making his return, because he's been MIA like and it almost like the entirety of the callings run, and they did like reference him being gone and Ricky Shane Page basically taking over for him. So I mean, there's some places they can go with it, but again, it's only going to make sense if Raven stays around. If it's just going to be like Raven's going to be like, I never abdicated this throne, you took it from me.
Yes.
You know, and then he disappears again. Like it really didn't mean a whole lot anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Just what was the point of you coming for?
Yeah, but I did at least think it was interesting and added. It was a nice little twist as a way to keep the feud going without making it necessarily feel stale. But we'll see, like the theme earlier, we'll see what the follow up is to see how it makes sense and fits into the narrative.
I just hope that title, the middleweight title, gets defended sometime. Because good lord.
Oh, the national open weight.
Yes,
he's defending it on those tapings. Jake Christ is coming in for it.
Okay, yeah, because he hasn't defended them title in months.
Yeah, so. He is defending. I assume we'll see it at Burning Crush. I believe the next YouTube show is this month.
Okay.
That was part of the tapings.
Well,
that didn't make it.
All I know is this: if by May, whoever's the champion, I'm praying and I'm going to petition to Court Bauer to give you a title shot where you are the show, because everybody's coming in, getting title shots, nitty witty. Damn it, you're going to be there in person. I'm going to petition for him to give you a title shot, because you deserve it.
I'm going to go for all the titles too, because if Second Gear Crew still have the tag team titles, I got a bone to pick with the one called Manders as well. My wife will. No, she doesn't like tolerating my bullshit.
All right, so
she will not.
You need a title shot. One of those bells got to come to you. You need a title shot.
Court, I know. You heard Muffin's Court. I guess we're gonna go this way. There we go. Yes. You heard Muffin's Court. I know you got feelers. Well, watch this show. No one ever admits it because I'm loud and obnoxious. But we know because things magically appear after we complain about it sometimes.
Yes. We'll start petitioning that every week. Nova Alcaz needs a title shot on May 11th.
So he is defending the title. He has defended the title at the tapings. That is the Jake Christ debut, which I am excited to see, because Jake has been killing. Jake has been killing it for years, and he's been one of the better kept secrets in wrestling. Yes.
I was happy when they came into Impact back then. I said, "Oh wow, they're bringing some new fresh guys." And and then like they always do, they go from being hot to being cold to being underappreciated, get stuck in some dumb storylines, and you're like, wow, that turned back quick.
Yeah, and I will put over Jake, specifically Jake, because he's like, since his original run in Impact, like he's had a total body change. Like he has dropped a small person amount of weight. Because we know, like I had those who pay attention to the con, I've had him on the show. He's a friend of the show, and we talk extensively about some of his demons. And one of the things he's most proud of is his weight loss, where like he was actually bigger than me, like in terms of weight, like at his worst. And he put out like, that's when I was wearing the vest and all that stuff. Like I was close to 240 pounds, and he's only like 5'8". Like he's not that big of a dude height wise and carrying.
I wish I was 240. I'm 6 feet. I wish I was 240.
But yeah, he had his epiphany and went to the goes to the gym every day now and is all for gym life. Takes the selfies to prove it too. And again, like killing it in Wrestling Revolver. He had like a one shot back in TNA as well, where he had that viral moment hitting that cutter mid air on Alan Angels, which was crazy.
And then he came back again for like, I know for a while there with Sammy, and then once Sammy left, everybody started leaving. I mean, and his wife Navia, I mean, she's an awesome talent. She should be hopefully, maybe hit a match or two there at MLW. I'll be happy.
Yeah, they can always use more featherweights.
Yes, they should.
But yeah, so we got off topic. I mean, but
Yeah.
again, we're still talking about MLW and the debut of Jake Christ. But yeah, so Raven's coming back.
Yes.
And Don King made a one-night return as well. They might have actually taped something new for him. I'm not entirely sure.
Is it new? Because I could have swore I've heard that same speech.
I mean, it's always been
the times he's been there.
I mean, it's always approximately the same speech, but he did add in. I don't remember him ever saying Bomaye is for the people, because he's mostly during like the straight up heel phase of the Bomaye Fight Club, and didn't really we haven't seen much of him since they became face-ish tweeners, tweeners leading baby face.
Yeah, another surprise of Don King.
Yeah, the shambling corpse of Don King was brought back for
so I don't
30
know
seconds, ladies and gentlemen.
Was actually him or AI?
Bomaye. Bomaye.
So I don't know if that was actually Don King or just an AI disguised as Don King. It could be
either way. They probably had to pay out the wazoo for it.
For 30 seconds.
If it's not actually him and they got permission to use him, like it can become cheap. Or the ensuing lawsuit of using him without permission.
Exactly.
It's not going to be cheap.
It's a hologram. It's a hologram.
But yeah, so that led us into our main event, and you said you got things to say about it. So
yes.
So I'm going to go along and eat my bread, drink my beer as you preach, brother.
And my issue is the Kojima. I love Kojima. He's been there. He is a veteran. He's adored in Japan. But you have him come here. He's 53 years old. I'm expecting it's going to be a good match, hard hitting. He's going to put Kane up more, elevate him more, and for some reason he wins the belt, which just totally took me by surprise. Now, my thing that I'm thinking is like, why did this happen? The guy lives in Japan. It's not like he's going to be here on a regular basis defending the title. Even though now we know that he will be defending the title in the February 29th initiation game on a Thursday against Suzuki Gun. So your man there, Murder Grandpa.
I am very happy with this match.
I'm happy about this too. And now it's going to be for the MLW title. But what's the reason, like story-wise, like what does this do for the title? I mean, to me, this makes no sense. So I went on Twitter, like I always do. I started putting stuff, my disappointment on it. And one of the talents from the show kind of hit me up on the DMs, which I was surprised, and kind of, telling me that this is a good move, and he's looking forward to the February 29th show, blah, blah, blah. We go back and forth, and then he left me a big voicemail, telling me that this is the right move for MLW right now at this moment to kind of get somebody else to come in that has a bigger name, try to do some stuff there, especially now with Suzuki coming in February. And hopefully in the future, things will change. And for me to trust the process of how things are going to go in the future. I told them, bro, I believe you, but I'm a couch GM. Forget that. I'm a fan.
We are internet neckbeards, ladies.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm a couch GM. People are upset The Rock just came in and took Cody Rhodes' spot. I don't care about that. Same thing that happened there is happening here. You know what I'm saying? So another old guy comes in, takes the title from a young guy to defend it against another old guy, another show coming up before the end of the month. That's going to be a hard-hitting match. And by God, I'm looking forward to this match. By no means necessary, I am looking forward to this match because this is going to be hard-hitting. But you're going to have two over 50-year-old guys wrestling in the main event for a title. And then what happens? Is Kojima going to keep the title? Is Suzuki going to take the title from him? And then what's going to happen in March? Who's going to defend it against who? It's just too many questions in my head. Not enough time, and my head cannot take all these different scenarios. I'm already a Libra, and we think already as it is the last thing I want to do is wake up in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, because I have to go to get ready to work, and the first thing in my mind is why they can't lose the belt. Why Kojima? Why Suzuki? Why, I got too much stuff. Kramer?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I am an abashed Satoshi Kojima guy. I had my bread, got my beer, just like he told us to at the end of the show. And so I am definitely of two minds about this, because on one hand, I am, as a pure fan, just as someone who's watching the product without worrying about getting on my podcast, getting on the camera here and talking with my bros, doing a write-up for We Like Sports, but as a pure fan, like, I love this move. Like, I love Satoshi Kojima. Like, he is a certified legend in the business, etc. Like, that's great. But as someone who's like you, trying to put things together, being armchair quarterback or armchair GM, like, I definitely have some questions about it. Just because Kane has been so dominant, and like, where do you really go from here? Especially since we don't know the details of the talent contract, so we don't know how long Kojima is going to be here. I've compared it, at least in my head, to me playing Total Extreme Warfare or Extreme Warfare Revenge for us stat nerds and game nerds out here, where playing as a small company, my world champion kept getting signed by, this is a long time ago, so either WWE or TNA. They kept stealing my world champion because I couldn't afford a written contract. I couldn't afford to lock them down. And so, just to keep my belt basically within my company and keep a belt on a real person without having it vacated every month, I finally just put it on a 65-year-old Tito Santana. That's almost kind of how I feel about this, just because, like, again, like, yes, he's a certifiable legend. Now he was the first real. There's an asterisk to that, because Shane Douglas was the first MLW World Heavyweight Champion, and he threw the belt down because Court Bauer likes to rehash things very well. But Satoshi Kojima was the first person to actually win and hold on to the MLW World Heavyweight Championship, and so now he's the first two-time champ, which I do understand the appeal of doing something like that. And let's also face it, Kojima is very over with the crowd, at least in Philly. Is he that over elsewhere? I don't know, but he has made appearances in, for other companies on a large scale. He wrestled CM Punk, and CM Punk gets to kind of say who he wants to wrestle. Like, however, regardless of how you feel about CM Punk, if he doesn't want to wrestle someone, he's not going to do it. And
this show's going to be in New York.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, say thing got away from Philly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we are starting the tour phase of MLW. Yes. We're bringing back the tour phase. So we got New York, we got Florida, and we got Chicago coming up. Yes. But I am overall curious, and it was very surprised that they chose to drop the title off of Kane in the way that they did. Like yes, it still took 2 lariats to put him down, so we'll give him credit for that. But again, we look at like the everything else, and is Kojima going to be around long enough to make it worth everyone's while to give them the bump that they needed? And as such, like, really, like, if you're looking to pivot to somebody with some name value or some buzz about them, I feel like that Kane should have dropped the title a couple months ago, either to Richard Holiday, who is fresh off of, oh my God, he's back in MLW, and this is his first appearance on a major promotion since his return from being declared cancer free, or Matt Cardona, who is belt collecting and coming around the internet, because I don't see Kojima holding the title for very long, to be realistic. Like, whether he drops, do I see him dropping it to Suzuki? Probably not. But where does he go from there? Does Kane get his rematch in April, or what's? I just kind of like, I'm not sure where to pivot from Kojima, especially if we don't see Kojima necessarily as a long-term champion. And maybe Kojima is going to be a long-term champion. Maybe he is has an agreement to come in and work because especially with MLW only taping once a month, like he only needs to come in for a weekend and do his thing, and then he can go back to Japan or, you know, do small tours of the US or whatever it is he wants to do. But I'm just really surprised, you know, that's the direction that they've gone, that they're going to go, especially how much that like they've really invested in Kane, and how he has held the title, and he's been a very, very dominant champion, defeating like most of their previous champions in the form of Tom Lawler, Jacob Fatu, and Alex Hammerstone. And then we have our secondary set of questions is what's next for Bomaye? What's yet next for Alex Kane? Especially since we already know that he is not going to get his rematch immediately unless there's like some hidden match at Burning Crush that we are not aware of yet, because I've avoided that much spoilers anyway. You know, does he like what does he do? Does he sit and lick his wounds? Like, is he going to be Hammerstone and just F off for a handful of months? Is he going to come back right? Is he going to come back right away and just like tear things down because this wasn't fair to him, or like this is not who he was? Or, you know, is he going to be Kofi Kingston and just be like, that's okay, Bomaye, that's okay, Bomaye? But I know at least, and I thought it was interesting. Also, I should have known something was up because of the Bomaye crew that usually surround Kane, like wasn't there. Like the actual members of the Bomaye Fight Club that wasn't Mr. Thomas wasn't there. Kaiju, O'Shea Edwards wasn't there. And I know for sure Jay Bougie wasn't there because he did a live reaction of Kane losing the title and arbitrarily tagged me in it for whatever reason. I think it was a mistype, and there's just enough overlap between MLW and MLW Confusion that, or he wanted to get the word out there from a legitimate wrestling journalist. Could be that too. I don't know. But yeah, so like that was kept pretty under wraps, and I definitely it caught a lot of people off guard. Again, is it going to be the wrong decision? Again, I'm not sure, because again, like Kojima is a big name, but I'm not sure this makes narrative sense overall. That's the theme of the show, the narrative, and I'm not entirely sure how that fits in with the overarching narrative.
I guess time will tell, and we'll see what happens in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I guess as I said, like if nothing else, I mean, unless something happens in 2 weeks, we're going to one way or another. We were getting Kojima versus Suzuki, which is going to be a great match. I have no problems with that being for the title. I like, as much as I'm a fan of Suzuki, like of Kojima, I'm okay with Suzuki winning the title too. Like, actually, honestly, it almost might be refreshing to have like a handful of very short reigns, almost like a batch of transitional reigns, because for the last years, like people have been holding the belt for over 6 months plus, and like yes, like long title reigns can be good, but if everyone gets a long title reign, like it takes some of the excitement out of it. Looking at you,
my head light bulb just went off because what you said right now. So Suzuki wins the belt February 29th from Kojima. He's the new MLW champion. The first opponent, Love Doug.
I mean, I'm down for it. They have history.
After what happened a couple of months ago outside there of the ECW arena. Why not?
Yeah. No. And that is something that's missing when you don't do a weekly television product, is you don't have, like, you lose almost some of the unpredictability, or like taking out some of the novelty out of the championship matches, because when you do it, when you have TV every week, you can have your Hulk Hogan come in for a squash match, you know, and call it good. I mean, yes, this isn't 40 years ago, brother Jack dude, but you know, you can have those little like fun little matches that are just styles clashes, just to kind of like pad up the champion's record, because you know, champions need to defend their title. And like, yes, if you're only running like once or twice a month, like obviously that makes things a little bit difficult. But otherwise, you get your Brock Lesnar's and your Roman Reigns, who hold the belt for, you know, a year and a half, or in the case of Roman, like 3 years, but the number of defenses is less than 30. Does it? Are you really that great of a champion if you're not fighting all comers?
Yeah, I just saw he's at 999 wins from all televised, non-televised house shows. So his winning record is 999 wins. He's 1 win short from hitting 1,000 wins.
I mean, that's an impressive number. But Hulk Hogan was doing that in a year, brother.
Yeah, he went 5 years?
Yeah. Well, but again, like, being a fighting champion is much different than taking months off at a time as well. Yeah. And again, like MLW, you're getting a title defense every month, so that's not necessarily an issue. But also running that once a month, like, kind of takes away from some more interesting matchups, I think, even though if you know what the outcome's going to be. Yeah. Like, watching Suzuki and Love Dog would be great, but people are going to poop all over that if you do it as like a Triller pay-per-view. If it's something you have to spend real money for, people are going to poop all over it. Yeah. But if you had Fusion, you could do it.
Yes, a taping match.
Yeah. But
now, Rob, I want you to share the good news that happened to you last week when you wrote the report there that you did.
Oh, okay.
I know it's not MLW related, but it's still kind of cool.
Well, I dropped a second article yesterday. So I have been brought on as a contributing writer to We Like Sports, I believe it's .com. So I will the deal. There's no deal in place. It's just articles as I see fit. Like they asked me aboard, and I'm like, 1, I don't really watch sports ball. 2, I notice on your background that you guys really only talk about WWE and AEW, and I pay attention, but I don't know if I pay enough attention to it to have good opinions on it, or at least in terms of like weekly roundups or whatever. And they're like, no, just do whatever it is you want to do. We are looking to get some exposure to the indies. I'm like, cool. So I did. I have 2 articles over the last couple of weeks. One is kind of talking about the most random participants in Royal Rumble history. So
some of those names I forgot about when I read that.
So like they are out there. And spoiler, for no good reason, I did put Jordan Grace on there just to throw a bone because I didn't really throw anybody on the women's side. But we've really never had a WTF like women's person outside of maybe Santina Marella. But and then yesterday we also dropped an article giving a shortened, less snarky review of Superfight. There we go. This weekend's event. So if you want just straight up results with a little bit of narrative rather than me full on neck bearding and playing armchair GM, or you just don't think if you don't think my jokes are funny, like there you can go to welikesports.com and check out the review there. But if you just want to support, watch this, check that out. And of course, is 10 pounds of pod? When's 10 pounds of pod coming back? Is that coming out soon? Tomorrow,
Wednesday, because the N.W.A starts back on the CW app now, starting tomorrow.
Yeah. So in addition to checking out the printed word, be sure to check out 10 pounds of pod. That's making a comeback.
Yes.
Like, of course, MLW Confusion drops every Friday. Even right now, when there's no MLW, I am trying to get back to the independent wrestling community. And when MLW is not on that week, I've been trying to give a spotlight to a random independent promotion. Currently, we've done SCW Pro, which of course always a sponsor for SCW Pro events at SCW Pro. Covered Mid-States Wrestling out of the kind of like former Mid-South area with a little bit more to the Midwest slant to it. And last week we covered Effie's Big Gay Brunch, which featured the debut of an alter ego of MLW wrestler Akira, known as Maid Kira, which was a blast and unlocked a kink in the wife.
With the pink hair.
Pink hair, pink maid outfit, pink Crocs too. But unfortunately, that's where I draw the line of being awesome, is your pink Crocs. But so that being said, check all those things out. So we got a bunch of things going over in the Urban Wrestling Network. We are a network. N.W.A is coming back. Rob Chef has come out of the woodwork, and he's doing a bit. He dropped today, or dropped. I don't know when this is going to drop, but as a recording dropped today, his thoughts on the return of Contra, and of course follow us on the socials. We got the scroll bar down there. We are on pretty much almost any batch of social media. At least the combination of us is on all the social medias, whether it's Twitter and Instagram, Facebook. I'm on Blue Sky now for some odd reason. MLW Confusions on TikTok. I don't know what crazy things Muffins has got going on in the background that he doesn't yell too much about, because I don't promote the TikTok at all because I'm not good at it.
I'm too old for TikTok, so yeah.
But yeah, so check all that stuff out. Hit us up on the links. Of course, as always, we would be remiss if we weren't talking about hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the notification button. Hit like. Leave a comment, because those things are actually the most important part of the algorithm. So if you really like us and want to support us in a way that's free, the best way to do that is to hit like and leave a comment. Plus, we've given a myriad of opinions. You might think we're wrong. Tell us why we're wrong. We will accept it. We might even challenge it and get a conversation going, because what wouldn't we be if we didn't argue with strangers on the internet? Because we are the internet wrestling community, a batch of neckbeards. Oh, we got filters. Muffins is exploding at the thought of fighting with strangers on the internet.
That was cool. I like that.
I got nothing on that.
Surprise.
I got nothing on that. We're
cool.
done.
I don't know where that came from, but that was cool, though. Was that me?
I didn't touch anything.
Either. I don't know what happened.
You just exploded. I finally blew your mind.
Yes.
You finally had enough of all my bullshit.
And with that being said, folks, we bid you a good night and deuces. Hey,